Now, timing was a little off there.
Yep.
Music's coming in a little hot. We are live now from the UFC 282 official morning weigh-ins in Las Vegas. Okay, settle down. That was producer Casey in the truck. He's very excited. This is the voice of Alexander Cayley again. I am not coming to you live from Las Vegas, but our own Jose Youngs is. Jose is on site as usual, as he has been at like friggin' 60 events this year. Jose's in the building. There we go. We've got the picture of the scale. You'll be hearing from Jose as well.
I know, because I know you guys are. I know you guys. Before we start, I know you guys are about to ask, so we know who's coming first already.
The guy in the red jacket.
Hey guys, I'm just throwing out a little poll here. Who will be the new UFC light heavyweight champion after UFC 282? Of course, your choices are Jan Blachowicz and one Mr. Magomed Ankalaev. Or, I'm sorry, I should put the third option. Neither. Something weird happens.
What if Yuri is still
it's his MMA
in my heart?
He can be, and there's certainly a discussion that's going to be had after this card as the year ends of who is. I mean, I think Yuri's still the number one light heavyweight, but I don't know. People might go like, maybe it's whoever wins this fight. People might be it's Vadim Nemkov. You know, there are options. There's certainly been some light heavyweight has long been one of our most heated categories. We might get some resolution on Saturday, starting with my eyes are bad. Starting with this man, is that Jan himself?
And weigh-in start now.
Here he is, the former champion.
Błachowicz.
204.5, no problem for Jan Blachowicz making that championship weight. 204.5. See if we got here. Oh, Alexander Hernandez. This is what I was really looking forward to see. Dropping down from 155.
This is his first fight at featherweight, correct?
In the UFC. He has competed a handful of fights before the UFC.
Oh, okay. Good.
145.5, the official weight for Alexander Hernandez.
145.5. Looking somehow even more shredded than ever, you know, after shedding that, however, the extra poundage. My goodness.
My next fighter to the scale, competing on pay-per-view, the 10th ranked UFC middleweight contender and former world title challenger, Darren Till.
That was 145.5 for Alexander Hernandez. Now, Mr. Darren Till.
The middleweight.
Correct, yes. Let's see how he does here.
Official weight 184.5 for Darren Till.
184.5 for Darren Till. A man who's had some bad luck getting fights to stay together. A lot of injuries. Just hoping he makes it to the cage on Saturday.
Still currently winless as a middleweight in the UFC. Correct? Or
No, he beat Calvin Gastelum.
Beat Kelvin.
Oh, no, yeah, that was middleweight. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was in Kelvin. I just think if Kelvin has a welterweight.
145.5, the official weight for TJ Brown.
TJ Brown, 145.5.
next athlete to the stage, one half of the co-main event in the UFC's lightweight division, Jared Flash Gordon.
Jared Gordon coming up now. Probably the highest profile fight of his UFC career.
No nonsense, Jared Gordon.
155.5, the official weight for Jared Gordon.
155.5 for the veteran Jared Gordon. A lot on the line for him on Saturday.
Right, back to the featherweight division now as we say hello to Billy Quarantillo.
Oh, get the music ready.
Don't tell me what to do.
146 pounds, the official weight for Billy Quarantillo.
146 for Billy Quarantillo. His fight with Alexander Hernandez is official.
Right, next fighter to the scale, kicking off the pay-per-view main card, the 9th-ranked UFC featherweight contender, Thugmaster Bryce Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell. One half of probably the best fight on this card.
146, the official weight for Bryce Mitchell.
146 for Bryce Mitchell. Use that extra pound. If you're not in a championship fight, use that extra pound.
All right, next fighter to the stage is his opponent, the 14th ranked UFC featherweight undefeated, Ilia Topuria.
And here's his opponent already, Ilia Topuria. A lot of bad blood, though not all of it directed at Bryce Mitchell.
$146, the official weight for Ilia Topuria.
146 for Ilia Topuria. That main card opener is now official.
Our next fighter to the scale, this fight card was built fourth ranked light heavyweight contender, getting his first title shot here Saturday night, Magomed Ankalaev.
Oh, here we go.
Did
Magomed Ankalaev.
Ankalaev say? Wait, what did Anik say? This is the fight card was built around him.
He says that about both main eventers,
Okay. Well,
I believe. Yeah.
205, the official weight for Magomed Ankalaev with that UFC light heavyweight championship.
205 for Magomed Ankalaev. That main event is now official.
Right, back to the featherweight division now as we say hello to Erik Silva.
Not that Erik Silva.
Not to be confused with Erik Silva with a C. Totally different guy, different weight class.
$146, the official weight for Erik Silva.
146 for Erik Silva. His fight with TJ Brown is now official. Are you putting a little extra stank on that music?
Right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's bantamweight division, set for his debut here Saturday night, Cameron Simon.
Cameron Simon. This guy looks about to be making his UFC debut, about 12 years old. My goodness.
not the youngest fighter, but the youngest looking fighter, maybe.
Yes.
It's weight 135 for Cameron Simon.
135 on the dot for this young man's debut. And he's 21 years old and somehow not the youngest fighter on this card. Not even close to being the youngest fighter on the card.
He could buy alcohol for the other fighters on the card.
If you showed me a picture of Cameron Simon and Ray Rosas Jr. and asked me which guy was 17, I would definitely say Simon.
$185.5, the official weight for Dalcha Lungiambula.
185.5 for Dalcha Lungiambula.
And the next athlete to weigh in just so happens to be his opponent, the Golden Boy, Edmen Shahbazyan.
Hey.
Is he still the Golden Boy? Have we changed
Sure.
has he changed his nickname yet?
No, he's still golden. He's staying golden.
It's a new camp, you know. I'm just saying.
Official weight 185.5 for Edmen Shahbazyan.
There you go. Edmen Shahbazyan also 185.5, and that fight with Dalcha Lungiambula is now official.
Next fighter to the scale were 6 fighters making their debut Saturday night.
Stephen Kozlow also making his debut, I believe on short notice.
136, the official weight for Stephen Kozlow.
136 for Stephen Kozlow. His fight with Cameron Simon is official.
I believe so. What was that weight, AK?
136.
136.
You see that rookie mistake by Kozlow? Just got on the scale and got off? What is this?
Oh, come on.
Come on, man. You're in the UFC. 5 seconds, baby.
Chris Curtis.
Yeah. One of the better personalities and better nicknames in the sport.
The action man. You know what you're getting.
He guarantees 2 things.
186, the official weight for Chris Curtis.
Oh, Chris Curtis.
186 for Chris Curtis.
Right, next fighter to weigh in this morning, the guy many fans have come to see, giving the co-main event live on pay-per-view in the UFC's lightweight division, Paddy the Baddy.
Oh boy. Here he comes. Already talking.
156, the official weight for Paddy Pimblett.
156 for Paddy Pimblett. That co-main event against Jared Gordon is official.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view, the 14th ranked UFC middleweight contender, Dricus du Plessis.
EDP, Dricus du Plessis coming up next. A lot of people see this guy competing for the middleweight title someday.
The official weight for Dricus du Plessis.
And he shows up on championship weight 185 for his fight with Darren Till, which is now official.
Next fighter to weigh one half of the live on ESPN2, Jay Perrin.
Jay Perrin, one half of the featured prelim, as one Mr. John Anik just mentioned.
Yeah, 185. Yeah. Sorry, we were trying to figure out the weight for Dricus.
Coming in hot. How's it?
136, the official weight for Jay Perrin.
I believe that was 136 for Jay Perrin. Or Jason Perrin, according to UFC. Yeah, that's interesting. 136 for Jay Perrin. See if his opponent comes up soon. I don't think we'll be waiting too long.
I don't see him.
Next fighter to the stage, competing in a prelim flyweight division, Daniel Da Silva.
Daniel Da Silva.
Whoa.
120.
9?
I heard 129,
Yes.
Jose. Yes. Okay, 129 for Daniel Da Silva. That's a big miss.
Our next fighter to the scale, the 11th ranked UFC heavyweight contender out of Philadelphia, PA, Chris Daukaus.
Here comes Chris Daukaus. Big problems for Da Silva, who's already 0-3 in the UFC. Looking to avoid a dubious 0-4 start, but I don't know if it'll matter with that miss. Here's Chris Daukaus.
242 and a half, the official weight for Chris Daukaus.
242.5 for heavyweight Chris Daukaus. Has said he may consider a drop down, but it's probably fun not having to cut weight, though. In any rush to really change divisions.
All right,
See if anyone's coming up. Yeah, I want to talk about Daniel Da Silva a little more. That was shocking. I don't know, really caught me off guard there. It's a huge weight miss, 129. Trying to remember if Da Silva has I believe he's only competed at flyweight in the UFC. I don't know if he's Jeff Molina.
That's kind of wild. He's getting a 4th shot in the UFC after being finished 3 times.
3 times he's been finished. Yeah, I'm not sure. I always wonder,
I never understand how the UFC works. Sometimes, guys, 1 loss, 2 losses are done.
You're gone,
Split decision loss, you're gone. This guy gets finished 3 times by no one in the top 15. Well, I mean, Jeff Molina. But, yeah, all right. Well, good for him. Hey, if you're going to miss weight on the fight, you have to win, I guess.
I guess, yeah. It's a shame because he's only 26. So really going back, honestly, the UFC, parting ways with the UFC at this stage of his career might actually be a blessing. Go back to the regional scene, just, fight a little lower level competition. Your salary is probably a little bit higher. You can, ask a little more money. You got the UFC name next to you. But, yeah, I'm not sure why he's getting another shot. He could join the likes of like Gabe Rudiger, Seth Petrozelli as fighters that did went to 0-4 in the UFC. So not a great list to be part of. But hey, Daniel Da Silva, you do your thing.
Wow. Well, hold on. Was this, are you throwing shade on Gabe Rudiger and Seth Petrozelli?
I'm just saying this is just stats. These are just stats. It has no qualifications over what their performance is.
You're in an all-time list.
These
you're a UFC
are,
record holder. That's always a great accomplishment.
These are statistics. I'm just saying these are statistics. And if Daniel Da Silva wants to join that list, all he has to do is lose on Saturday night against, I believe, a newcomer. Yes, Contender Series contract winner, Vinicius Salvador. So hopefully that fight just goes, for Salvador's sake, hopefully that fight goes through. 3 pounds is a pretty big miss. Not entirely sure that Vinicius Salvador will want to take that fight.
Ooh.
Or
you serious?
Whoa.
Oh.
Gang.
Uh-huh.
What was that, Jose?
Mm-hmm.
The lovely UFC PR has walked in with donuts.
Oh. Go
That
indulge.
was my excitement.
Go indulge. We'll hold down the fort. Go indulge.
Bro,
That's great for the fighters.
I'm crushing a donut right now.
Look, listen, and we can't even listen. What a professional! I couldn't even tell. Casey, I have okay, no, never mind. No, the donuts were too good. Gotta run out. Take a donut break, Jose. Casey, I have DM'd you a spelling correction that I did not notice before in one of the names. I'm sure no one else noticed, not because we never make mistakes. But off to a really quick start for this morning's weigh-ins. The top 2 fights already out of the way. Jan Blachowicz, the first guy to weigh in. I keep saying Jan Błachowicz. Excuse me, guys. Jan Błachowicz, the first guy to weigh in. Ankalaev, not too long after that main event is now official. The 2 fighters around whom the card has been built, as John Anik would say. And then the de facto co-main after the sort of card shifted around in recent weeks. And really not a terrible one, given the name power of one of the gentlemen involved.
Paddy Pimblett, big, man.
Jared Gordon is big. Hey, man, have you been to prison? I haven't, so I can't say
you know what? I ain't talking like I've gone to prison.
No, that's right. I've noticed.
When I talk smack, I'm talking smack like a guy that jaywalks. I'm not talking. Like maybe I might double park every once in a while. That's my smack talk.
Sure. You do you do the talk of someone who's got like a ticket, like a traffic ticket, not someone who's done a bid, as they say. But Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon. Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon is official. Jose? Yeah, Jose, give us some.
How do I talk trash?
Yeah.
I'll give you my take on Jose's talk trash in a second, but I'd love to hear what he has to say about it.
I don't talk trash. I just pick up a brick and throw it in your eye.
Okay. By the way, speaking of John Anik,
I use fist. I don't need construction objects. I use fist. Speaking
of John Anik and speaking of Jose,
I use fist. You know
Jose,
what?
Can we plug your show? Can We
Oh
plug your
yeah,
show.
go ahead, AK.
We plug
You
your
go
show.
ahead, AK. I want to see. I want to hear what you have to say.
We had our second episode of Anything But Fighting. That's Jose Youngs's incredible podcast where he speaks to fighters and personalities from the MMA community about anything but MMA. You guys name a topic that's not MMA. I'm sure Jose will find a fighter who can indulge and get that on tape. So excellent first episode with Joseph Benavidez, and now got the man himself, John Anik, fellow New Englander, on your show. So you'll check that out.
His list of greatest Boston athletes was something else.
Is that a positive something else, or did you not agree?
Well, I disagreed with where some people were on, and there were some jarring omissions that I felt should not be omitted. Obviously, Casey. No, like the top four are just locked in stone. It's just a matter of the order. So Brady, Bill Russell, Ted Williams, Bobby Orr are the four best ever. And whatever order you want to put those in, there's no wrong.
Larry Bird isn't top four?
No, he'd be like 5 or 6. Because Bill Russell has 11 championships, first black coach in NBA history. Like, he's just super important. And he, marched with Martin Luther King Jr. in Washington. Like, he's just important to American history. Larry Bird has 2 championships and was very good, just not Bill Russell.
What did you say? Bobby Orr, obviously. What was the other 2?
Yeah. Ted Williams and Tom Brady.
Ted Williams and Tom, yeah.
Is Tom Brady a Buccaneer?
Yeah.
And he had Bobby Orr. He had
easy.
John Anik had Bobby Orr at 8, which was jarring, and he completely omitted Collier Stremski.
You said Bobby Orr 8?
It was yes, which is weird.
Maybe he's not a hockey guy. He's not a hockey guy.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not a hockey guy, and you asked me who's the greatest, Canadian. Bobby Orr is arguably the second greatest hockey player in the history of hockey.
Sure.
I've heard of the name Bobby Orr. That's all
Number
I know.
4, Bobby Orr. Exactly. If Casey's heard of him, you know he's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, guys,
He had Ray Bork. He had Ray Bork at 10. I'm like, you're weird, bro. Like, get a better list.
Check that episode out. If you're not like me and you can't get enough of talk about the New England sports scene, and I'm sure just New Englandishism in general, by all means tune in. Again, that is live on the MMA Fighting Podcast Network. You can find the link at MMAfighting.com. You can go to our YouTube channel. It's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, guys, it's everywhere. You can't avoid it. So just listen to it. And we look forward to future episodes. It's a great concept for a show, and hopefully in 2023 even more.
I have a good time. I've had good times both.
It's such a good idea, and I'm waiting for the Fast and Furious episode because I'll be on there with whichever fighter you.
AK, if you find someone that likes Fast and Furious as much as you, and they happen to be a professional fighter,
all right,
I'll have you send in some video questions. How about that?
No, I'm on the.
Or
I'm flying in.
You'll just fly in wherever we are, and we'll sit down and just gab.
I'm not even joking. I will fly in for that episode. And I never leave. I never leave Ontario. I never leave Ontario.
That's true.
All right. Maybe I should do a little. Well, no. Let's talk about the main events a little. Let's not. I don't think we need to do a rain dance rundown yet. We've had a pretty good flow. Yeah. I don't think it's like I'm a little worried about Daniel Silva. That's wild. Okay. Let's talk about this main event. It's not the main event we thought we were going to get. I think
it's the main event we deserve.
But it's why would you? No, I think the fans and us in the media have been pretty good in 2022. I think 2022 has been a pretty fun year for MMA outside of some, scandals here and there, gambling related and otherwise.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw a tweet this morning where someone tweeted that let's not I don't know who it was. It might have just been a fan or like an MMA Twitter personality, and it had a lot of retweets and reactions, and it was like, let's stop kidding ourselves and say 2022 was the worst year for the UFC. And I was like, what does that even mean? I thought this year was decent, not bad.
Yeah, and
wasn't best, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, in what sense? Like financially,
I have no idea.
White. Yeah, ask Dana White. I'm sure he'll tell you this was their best year yet. Fight wise, we got a ton of fight of the year candidates, some amazing finishes. I mean, I understand the plight of the modern MMA fan.
Fighting.
We're about to get slapped. Hey, that's a 2023
Power
thing,
slap fighting.
Maybe that's what they're saying compared to what 2023 is going to bring us.
I did the Power Slap Media Day. It was a trip.
A good trip?
It was the old style media day. They sit in front of the placards with their names and go up and interview everyone one-on-one. It was very interesting because like some of the guys I interviewed, and I was like, well, how do you particularly train for slapping? Because you don't want to just slap in the jaw repeatedly, like in camp. And like one guy was like, oh, I watch tape, I watch footage, I have a coach like analyze my trajectory and like this. I'm like, this is wild. And then another guy was like, how do you train? He's like, I don't. I'm just really strong. And I was like, okay.
Well, at least one guy was honest.
One guy was like, I don't train. I just go to heavy metal concerts and headbang. So my jaws and neck is really strong. And I was like, neat.
I fully admit I have not been keeping up with any Power Slap coverage, including our own. Have they at least tried to reel people in with like a former fighter? Is there any former notable fighters participating?
So there's the most notable one that people are gonna have questions for is, do you remember the viral video of when Nate was at, I think it was Jake Paul. Remember he flinched? He psyched the guy out, and the guy like threw his cup in the air because he scared him. Remember that video clip when Nate did?
I remember. I saw it. Yeah, it was great.
So that guy is one of the slappers. The guy that flinched and threw his beer up in the air.
They got him? What a get!
Because he trained. He trains with AJ and Antonio McKee. So he was like the most interesting. He's the one that had like the most connect because I guess they reached out to him, and then one guy was he trains at the same gym as Stipe, and he was like, you could tell he kind of got it because he was like cutting wrestling promos. Like he got up in the camera, he's like, I'm just here to make a bunch of money and just fuck everyone up and blah blah blah. It's like, oh man, you are intense.
How much do these guys get paid? Are they getting paid more than Contender Series guys?
I don't know because it seems like an Ultimate Fighter type situation when they're like living in a house. It's like the Ultimate Fighter of slapping.
That part is insane to me. Why do that?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Are they they're teams, right? This is like an IFL thing, right? They're teams.
I have literally no idea. I think it's like they're living in the house and slapping.
Slapping.
Don't make me watch this because
there were
I'm not
a few guys that had like legitimate martial arts backgrounds too, and they like people reached out to them because he was like some of them have like Muay Thai experience and MMA experience and boxing. And one guy was like, I saw a Facebook group and they were looking for participants to partake in a new martial art, and like there was no details whatsoever. And he was like, yeah, I'll do this. And then he shows up and they're like, it's slapping, and they're like, oh, they just like stuck around and did it.
I have so little interest in this sport, this quote unquote sport. But when I heard that it was like the ultimate, and they were living in a house, I like the Ultimate Fighter. I'm not gonna lie, that part of me, I was like, all right, hashtag tough never die. I'm just saying, you sprinkle a little Ultimate Fighter on something, it's gonna pique my interest. That's all I'm saying. But otherwise, I have no interest in it.
Why is it not called the Ultimate Slapper?
I think that'd be great, and like a spinoff, yeah, like a spinoff. All right, we got weight.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
We are gonna talk MMA after this. I promise. Let's get to this. Let's see who's coming up here.
I love stupid stuff. But
by the way, here is the young man recently turned 18 years old, Raul Rosas Jr.
136, the official weight for Raul Rosas Jr.
136 for Raul Rosas Jr. His fight with Jay Perrin is now official. By the way, I want to give a. Sorry. Go ahead, Jose.
I was about to say, Raul had a very entertaining media day.
Listen, there's a reason Dana and the UFC are like this kid. Like they don't, a lot of people would be asking, like, why are they signing this 18-year-old guy? Like, how do you get the Contender Series thing in the first place? Like, he's got the personality, he's got the style beyond just being, now the youngest signing ever in UFC history. There's that X factor. I think Jay Perrin is a very live dog. By the way, I don't think he's a guy who's.
So do I.
Yeah, I mean, experience is a big thing. It's huge. I'm not saying he's like massively more experienced than Rosas, but I don't know. That's a lot. There's a lot of X factors here. This kid's just turned 18.
Jay's first fight in the UFC was Mario Bautista. That dude is a monster.
Yeah. Wasn't that on short notice too?
Yeah.
Double check, right? He was on a short notice fight recently. I don't remember if it was Mario Bautista or the.
He fought AQ in Salt Lake City and like punched him a lot, and then AQ just like walked through and knocked him.
And this competition that Rosas was facing before his Contender Series fight was not great. Though he did run through them. So he did run through them.
Yeah,
so I mean, that's what you want to.
He did what he should have done.
He did what he should have done. Yeah. Interesting. That's one of the most intriguing fights of Saturday for sure. That's for sure. I think we got good takes on that.
I'm very curious. I want to circle back to Raul after these guys.
Vinicius Salvador. We are not going to be able to play the music, I don't think. I've actually got to mention something about De Silva in a second. Okay. I believe Brazil also just won. Oh no, they're still playing the full time. That's right. Brazil's up 1-0, so maybe Vinicius Salvador also jacked up about that. His fight with Daniel De Silva, obviously not official. De Silva missed by 3 pounds, and I don't know if you've heard or not, Jose, if he'll be weighing in again, but it sounds doubtful.
No,
I have not heard.
No way. You don't come in an hour and a half early to come in late.
Right.
At 1:29.
UFC News, the UFC News Twitter account usually does not. Oh, hold on.
No.
Okay, let's get Alex Morono up here first. I'll finish my thought there.
Catchweight 180, right?
That's right. This is a 180-pound catchweight fight. Morono coming in on short notice for Robbie Lawler.
Why did he be a misweight?
There you go. Time 0.5 for Alex Morono. So I make a note here on Twitter so people don't think he missed weights. Let's see if anyone else comes up here.
I don't see anyone lining up.
Okay, thanks.
Wait, no, I lied. Joaquin Buckley's here.
Oh, Joaquin Buckley's here.
Joaquin Buckley's right here, actually. Just literally taking his shirt off, getting ready.
Comes the action man. Well, no, that's his opponent. Sorry, but this guy is also the action man. He's also the action man.
That's true.
When you see him show up, the action,
man.
man.
Are you do that for every fighter?
No, because some of them are some of them are not.
Chris Daukaus is not an action man. He's not a man that actions. Wow.
I didn't say anything. I didn't answer the question. I didn't answer the question.
What?
Is he flexing his pecs?
The commission's like, stay still.
185.5 for Joaquin Buckley. His fight with Chris Curtis is now official.
And Croatia just tied it up.
Ooh. What? Wow. Wow, that's damage. Of course, I was watching the whole time, no goals, and then I'm on the way and unable to watch the game, and they scored.
So it's your fault.
I mean, it's not. It's my. People should be thinking. So. Oh, it's my fault that the full time was uneventful. Actually, it was a really good 0-0 game. I will say, as someone who's kind of new to football, I thought it was pretty good for a 0-0 game.
Football.
Okay, I'm finishing my thought on Daniel De Silva. Yes, he weighed in at 129 earlier. UFC News, the UFC News Twitter account has tweeted out his weight as 129. Normally, they don't do that if the person's planning to weigh in again. Also, if you go to UFC to go to their weigh-ins page, it officially lists him as having missed the flyweight limits. So very likely he is just entering negotiations now, his team with Vinicius Salvador's team, and we'll figure out whether the fight's going on and what the purse penalty will be if it does proceed as scheduled. I'm assuming 30%. He's missed the even with the 1 pound allowance. Daniel De Silva has missed by 3 pounds. Now, Jose, I believe you said you wanted to espouse a little bit further on Mr. RRJ.
Yeah, I'm very curious how his dieting and weight will be moving forward, because like we spoke with him and he's like for his previous weight cut, he just like stopped. He just ate tacos and drank water. Like that was his diet. I'm like, well, you can't do that. when to be an 18-year-old, sure. Once you get past that, you can't just be, it was like, oh, you put out beans and rice, and I just eat tacos. No, that's stupid.
You got to have beans and rice. It doesn't. It just completes the meal. Yeah, what a dummy.
Well, he's still growing, right?
Yeah, that's why I said. Well, that's why I said that's stupid case, not that he's eating tacos. That he's taking out. I just wanted to clarify. But in all seriousness, I asked him in media day, like, how do you balance being a high school student, because he's still in high school, and well, now he's homeschooled, and being a fighter. He's like, oh, it was really hard because like I really like pizza, and they always have pizza at the cafeteria, and everyone wants the pizza, and then the pizza would run out. I wouldn't get any pizza, and I was like, "Fucking high school problems." What are we talking about here?
and then you remind yourself, oh, he is like, as you said, he is a high school kid. This isn't a guy who talks like a high schooler. He is a high schooler. You mentioned the diet. It was very funny. He has to be a future featherweight. I mean, he's 5'9". Again, like you said, he's only 18 years old. He's going to grow into this frame, grow into this body, keep eating tacos, keep eating pizza. And probably
at some point we were all bantamweights. There was a point we were all bantamweights. So yeah,
it's very poetic, Casey. You should tweet that.
Yeah. I'm a bantamweight in my mind. Honestly, though, Aaron Bronster sitting next to me is probably a legitimate bantamweight.
That's his walking weight.
How much do you weigh right now, Aaron? 135.8 for Aaron Bronster. That's unreal.
What?
Wow.
Lead muscle. What you've been doing the Oculus training though, right? Yeah, that's what his thing is.
He's in MMA.
The Oculus?
You should. He was like, because Casey was asking about it. Like some block. What is Feel of the Fight? Thrill of the Fight. He says it's like.
Oh yeah, I've done Thrill of the Fight. I like the Fit VR. Fit VR is better, but Thrill of the Fight's fun too.
Yeah, Casey says he likes Fit VR and Thrill of the Fight, both of them. He said, yeah, so he knows what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you get a good sweat.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he was saying. It's just like cardio, working out, and everything.
All right, looking at our poll.
Make bantamweight, get an Oculus.
Looking at our poll here, guys, who will be the new UFC light heavyweight champion? 52% Magomed Ankalaev, 39. So pretty split. 39% Jan Blachowicz, almost 10% saying neither. That's a lot. Almost 9% saying something weird is going to happen, and we don't end up. And listen, we saw in the first Nemkov Corey Anderson fight that we were left without a. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. Sorry, Nemkov was still the light heavyweight champion. But
someone is here, but I can't see.
Okay, well, we don't have a lot of options. Ponzinibbio, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik.
Could be Rozenstruik.
That's it. I think.
No, it's Jairzinho.
That's it. Jairzinho.
Wait,
okay.
Ponzinibbio, he's coming in 10 pounds over his weight and a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys.
Jairzinho.
Both. BT Sports being very rude in the back.
261.5.
Jesus.
261.5 for Biggie Boy Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Say it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That fight with Chris Daukaus. Now official. Wait, what happened?
You had the timing. You just
no, that's fine. It looks like Croatia and Brazil is going to a shootout. That is unfortunate. Not a fan. We had said, Casey, you and I discussed earlier this week that it should be a go to slaps.
Yeah.
MMA fights should go to slaps. Tie it in. You want to promote the power slap league?
No, you have to. No, I think what you really got to do is you got to line them up in a line and just get a soccer ball drilled at your head. First one to flinch loses.
So not if you get knocked. So you can get knocked over. Just don't flinch.
Don't flinch.
You could die, but as long as you don't flinch.
Don't flinch. Okay. I'm into that. We got a lot of good solutions here to make.
Yeah, I don't want to see that thing where they all cover their crotches and stuff. Like no. You just...
Guys, I haven't done a rundown yet, but I'm not going to do one because we're really only one fighter away. We have this on-screen graphic. There's not much to show here. Just waiting for Santiago Ponzinibbio. One big miss. Daniel da Silva coming in 3 pounds over the flyweight limit. Otherwise, all good in the hood so far, especially with our title fight and our co-main.
If Ponzinibbio misses weight, that would be like one of the most spectacular weight misses
so strange.
ever.
No. I want to read one of the comments. We did have breaking news today that the Alberta Commission has reinstated betting on gambling on the UFC
We're back, baby.
In that beautiful province. And Hicks is asking, do you guys think Ontario will also lift the betting ban? Hicks, I'm in Ontario. I don't have any insider information, but I imagine it actually will. They will follow suit pretty shortly. Because the initial statements were pretty clear that they were just like, hey, they weren't like a definitive, like, oh, we're never going to have betting on the UFC again. The statements ended very clearly with like, oh, we're keeping an eye on things. We're going to review the situation. We're going to keep reviewing the situation. And as long as the UFC sort of takes action, then, we can talk about betting here again. So Alberta, I will say, specifically mentioned the Kraus because that Kraus is under investigation because he was suspended and his fighters and his associates are suspended. That is why they're reinstating the betting in Alberta, which is kind of a big deal because when those statements, when Alberta and Ontario both announced the ban on UFC gambling last week or a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, they did not say Kraus specifically. They just said we're looking at suspicious betting activity and we don't trust the UFC's like the integrity of their gambling right now. So they did not name Kraus specifically. And now Alberta did today, saying yes, it is specifically that case. So very interesting, and kind of goes along with a lot of what we were saying.
I saw an interview of Dana White. He said there's zero evidence. There's nothing to talk about.
We all make mistakes. I'm sure if you spoke to Mr. White today, he would say, "Oh, I apologize. My information I did not have all the information. I spoke too quickly. Obviously, there was things that need to be investigated." That is exactly what did. He would apologize for lying. Not lying, excuse me, for misspeaking.
Lying.
I did not. I apologize. I misspoke. I just misspoke. Someone asking, where do I bet now? I don't bet on MMA, and I never have, so I don't know. It doesn't affect me. Odds Kraus is just a fall guy. Haven't seen anything he's actually done wrong yet. I wouldn't. As far as I know,
a fall guy for what? Was he?
He's not. Was he falling? I'll say this. He's a fall guy in the sense that I believe personally that he's involved with a lot of shady stuff. But yes, I do think that the UFC, again, like I said, the fact that Alberta in today's statement named him specifically and then reinstated the betting is exactly what the UFC wanted when they take an action like this. And they publicly say, oh yeah, we're suspending James Kraus, we're releasing this fighter, we're releasing Derek Minner. This is why they do it, why they acted so quickly. Because we've seen the UFC drag their feet on a lot of things that supposedly violate the code of conduct. But this thing, which messed with their wallets and a lot of the wallets of people and powerful people associated with the UFC, the UFC got in front of this one pretty quickly, named names pretty quickly. And this is why. And it worked. Alberta. And that's why I said to bring it around, I do think Ontario is going to follow suit pretty soon. So my Ontario bettors, you won't be out for long. Though I have a feeling if you're a junkie, you have your ways of getting around that stuff anyway. So.
Junkie.
Listen, I don't bet. All right, but by the way, great gambling podcast. No bets barred with Jed Michaud and Connor Burks. Definitely check that.
Unless you're in Ontario.
All bets barred if you're in Toronto.
I listened to it. All right. Oh yeah, this is true. All bets are barred. No, only on the UFC.
All bets barred
only on the UFC. You can still bet on football, American football, college basketball if you want.
Why did you say American football like that with some weird accent? What was that?
No, well, he said football like as in like football, like in
football.
A European, but he said American football like an American.
Yeah.
American football.
Association football, if you'd rather.
Is that your American accent? Can you give me your American accent, AK?
American football. Can't wait for that. I can't wait for that bowl game between Ohio State and Georgia.
That's your Jed Michaud accent.
That's my Jed. That's really just my Jed.
Yeah. Was that Jed Michaud on?
No, Jose. It was just me. It's just me. Guys, we should talk about the fights.
I was about to sign off.
We should talk about the fights.
All right.
Jose, are you going to be in the preview show later?
I doubt it because I got to zip over to ceremonials.
Yeah, give us your take on this main, my friend.
I like it. I think Ankalaev is going to win. I felt like he was going to fight for the title anyway at some point. I would still wish this was Glover Jan, but I'm going to say Magomed by third round finish.
TKO submission?
I don't know yet. Probably TKO.
Okay.
Why does he win it primarily standing up? Does he take him to the ground, or is it a mixture of the martial arts? How do you see him getting there?
I think it's going to be very close at the beginning in the first few rounds, and then I do think eventually, because as Anthony Smith said, I don't know if this do you remember Anthony Smith's media day before he fought Ankalaev? He was like, I'm not impressed with anything Ankalaev does. He does everything basic and he makes no mistakes. I'm like, well, it's pretty good.
That's pretty impressive.
Basic wins fights. Like he does everything basic, but he makes no mistakes. And against Jan, you can't make a mistake. You saw what happened with Corey Anderson. You saw what happened with Dominic Reyes. You saw like him just melting these guys. Luke Rockhold melting these guys. And if Ankalaev doesn't give him that opening, I don't know if Jan has enough in his tool bag to like pull out a decision over like a completely well-rounded fighter, if that makes sense. Like Ankalaev isn't going to go in and try to slug it out in the pocket. So I think later in the round, when he realizes he can't just touch this guy and knock him out, I think that's where Ankalaev goes away.
Yeah, I was watching Ankalaev's fight with Oezdemir and Anthony Smith as well. Really, both pretty standout fights. The Thiago Santos fight, I mean, he won it clearly, but somewhat forgettable. But Anthony Smith and Volkan, if you watch those two fights, like, man, he is just so, again, yeah, like technically and fundamentally strong. The way he just walks people down, he's not like a high volume guy, and yet somehow he's able to come forward a lot and like walk people down. That's pretty scary. I'm leaning towards Jan. I'm leaning towards a Jan win. By the way, and that's a classic AK pick where I say why one guy is so good and then just go, oh, by the way, I'm here. I'm picking the other guy. I'm not sure why. I'll elaborate on that in a second. Casey, I'm not sure which direction you are leading in, sir.
I'm going Ankalaev and a very lackluster 49-46.
You mean you don't think the fight's gonna be entertaining?
Not at all.
Oh,
I think we're gonna get a combination of Ankalaev versus Santos and Blachowicz versus Jacare.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I'm not saying it's a low level fight. It's clearly two elite 205ers, but I just, as far as like entertainment factor, I'm not high on this fight entertainment wise.
Here's a good question and a perfect one. Now that we have Jose here, I think we've had pretty good luck. I'm sure I'm forgetting like one notable exception, but I feel like we've had pretty good luck with UFC main events this year, right?
Remember, we had 3 of them ended injuries, like in 30. Like
no, sorry, pay-per-view. Excuse me.
Pay-per-view.
Sorry, yeah. I was like, we've had a lot of injury main events.
A lot of weird.
Pay-per-view main events. Okay, I got to scroll all the way.
I'm off the top of my head. I'm just
go ahead.
Going back through my head for pay-per-views.
That's pay-per-views.
So January was Francis and Cyril, correct? So I'm going to start in January.
And I love that fight.
That was 270. 271 was Izzy Whitaker. That was in February in Houston. 272 Colby Jorge in March. Okay. So those were 273. Volkanovski Zombie was supposed to be Volkanovski Holloway, wasn't it? And then Holloway need more time or something. So Zombie kind of stepped up, but it hadn't really gotten deep.
Yeah.
Like
and
they had offered Max like weeks ago.
Yeah.
No, and like they both had full camp. It's not like Zombie stepped in on 5 days notice. It was like he had a full camp. So that was what am I on now? 273, 274. Oliveira Gaethje. I mean,
you were there.
It was Oliveira Gaethje. Yep. Yeah. I was at all of these.
Yeah.
275 Glover and Yuri. 276 was Izzy Cannonier. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that was a bad one.
278 was Usman Leon. That was in Salt Lake. 79. Wait. Well, I mean, 279 was weird. That was Ferguson Diaz.
Wait, did you skip 277?
Oh, Juliana and Amanda. Yeah, that one was fine. I guess. Yeah. 279. Obviously, Diaz Ferguson had a big shakeup at the top, but that wasn't. That was like literally the day of weigh-ins. But everyone fought on that card. They just got new opponents. 280 was Islam and Charles. 281 was Izzy and Pereira. And then, 282. Yeah, so I guess you're right. Main event's kind of held together until right now.
Yeah,
in terms of injuries. Like, obviously 279 was weird, but it still happened.
I also meant like entertainment value. I didn't think they were too
this
bad.
Is a weird one. This was never intended to be the original main event.
This is true. But I think it'll be good. I will say, obviously, Izzy's past 2 title fights, he's got a lot of flack. I didn't think the Whitaker fight was that bad.
Whitaker fight was fine. I don't understand.
Yeah, it got lumped in. It gets lumped in with the Topuria and Cannonier. That's why it's kind of like part of that run. So people just go like, "Oh, all 3 fights were boring," and I'm like,
Brazil's out. Brazil's out, guys.
Brazil's out. It's my fault. The shirt.
Whoa,
not that I believe in that
PKs,
sort of thing.
I hate PK so much.
Shout outs to Celtic FC's Joseph Juranovic. Well, soon to not be a Celtic probably because he's probably played his way off the team, but he was sensational today. So good for him, and happy to see a Celtic in the semifinals of the World Cup. A Scotland Celtic, by the way. I have nothing nice to say about the Boston Celtics, who are probably going to win the NBA championship. Covington Masvidal was not a great. It was okay. The drama was there. It wasn't like a super great fight, but there was drama, right? Covington Masvidal. It wasn't like a bad fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was one-way traffic for a lot of it.
It was one-way traffic,
and then like Jorge dropped him in like round 4 or something. So that was super exciting. Like there's at least you can pull the build out there. The build-up was much more heated than the actual.
Of course.
And let's not forget that the MMA fighting official weigh-in show had this theory that it was all an act and they were going to shake hands after.
Excuse me, that was not just a weigh-in show theory. I had been saying it was all an act for like 2 years. So give me credit. All right, I was carrying that narrative for a long time. I was very wrong. I was very wrong.
Yes.
I'm kind of in between. It was an act, but it was also, hey, we got it's.
I think it was. I think
money here.
I think it was an act for one person, one of those two, and the other one does not play around. If that makes sense. Like he didn't get the memo that it was. Let's build this up. He's like, I'm going to throw a brick at you.
I was suggesting maybe the one that is now currently, possibly facing like jail time.
The one with the chipped tooth. Yeah.
Maybe he's the one who took it a little too seriously.
Yeah.
Oliveira Gaethje was awesome. 274. Awesome fight. Prochazka Teixeira, maybe the greatest fight of my life.
That is. I was telling Sean this yesterday because we went to the World MMA Awards yesterday, and that was like nominated for like fight of the year. Might have won. I don't even remember. But
they didn't win?
That was the best. I don't remember who won fight of the night or fight of the year. That was because it's like weird time. It's like July to July.
Yeah.
So like Yair Holloway was last year and Chandler Gaethje was last year, but they were also nominated. So it threw me off. But like Corey Sandhagen Jan wasn't nominated, which is crazy to me. Anyway.
Great fight.
Yeah. So Glover Yuri, but Glover Yuri is the greatest fight I've seen live.
It's so fun. You're so lucky, and you saw the Izzy Gastelum fight live. I remember you there for that one, right?
I was at Joanna Weili.
No. I was at
Lawler McDonald.
Weren't you both there?
Yeah, I wasn't at Izzy Gastelum. No,
you weren't at
Sean and Jed went because Sean has ties to Atlanta or Georgia, and Jed lives there. Plus, I had only been working for MMA Fighting for like 5 months.
Oh, okay. Matt, how close were we though to getting? Imagine if this card had gone, Saturday's card had gone as scheduled, and we got another barn burn. Like have two fight? Can you imagine 2 fighters having both the number 1 and number 2 spots in like the best fight of the year? Like we never even had that chance before, I don't think. And now
for what? Say it again.
If we had gotten Glover and Yuri too, and it had like even come close to living up to the first fight, and then on our fight of the year list, number 1, number 1 and number 2.
That'd be so cool. Tell, the only time that's ever happened when we had like a fight of the year, let's run it back, and they had another fight of the year was Chandler Alvarez,
but not in the same year.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it happened in the same calendar year? That'd be so cool.
If we did fight of the year at the end, and both fights were the top 2.
Yeah.
At the end.
Can you imagine?
I mean, Shogun and Dan Henderson was the second fight was still really good, but Shogun got knocked out in the rematch.
Yeah,
that one was really good. I'm trying to think of like other one.
Nunes Pena, I thought was entertaining, but it was very one-sided. I don't know.
Joanna Weili was really good before Joanna got knocked out in the second one. Yeah. But obviously the first one was like all-timer.
Yana Whaley.
Whaley.
The second one. The second one, Yana was taking a butt whooping that first round. I remember, but it was.
It was still exciting. It wasn't like it wasn't sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then the antithesis of that is Jones Gustafsson was the second fight was just such a stark difference from the first fight.
Another fight that was a stark difference from the first fight that was just one-sided was first fight, Bigfoot Mark Hunt one of those fight of the years.
Yeah.
Second fight was just okay, that was just sad. We shouldn't have just been happy with the first fight.
And Holloway Volkanovski 3 was so different from the first two fights.
Yeah.
I
like rematches. I'm just not into direct rematches.
We mentioned John Jones. Let's not forget they wanted this card. I don't know if it was ever signed or anything, but they wanted John Jones and Francis, or John Jones someone to make his heavyweight debut.
Oh yeah, I forgot. This is supposed to be the John Jones Stipe card. I forgot. Right? This is
close out 2022 with a bang. With John Jones coming back. Yeah, Stipe fighting Stipe. I don't know. You think they would have made it vacant heavyweight title probably, or interim, whatever? Vacant.
No, they would have made it interim.
Oh no, they don't want to strip him. Interim.
They would have made it.
They wouldn't have stripped it because they want to sell that John Jones Francis thing of 2 belts on the poster. That's why they want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you do the interim, and anyway, but this was supposed to end. So we lost 2 really incredible main events, and again, all of this is so disrespectful to Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev, 2 great light heavyweights. But it's just obviously was not. This is Plan C. Plan D, as far could be there. Who knows what else they had planned for this card?
This may be old news, but is this the right main event? I still hate this main event. Okay, I know we have to live with it, but there's no point. But this isn't the right main event.
This would be a really good fight if it should have been Glover Jan.
Yeah.
But realistically,
Magomed Ankalaev deserves a title shot, though, doesn't he?
He does.
Why do you think deserve? How many years have we I thought we eliminated.
That's my favorite word. That's when I'm talking about MMA. That's my favorite word.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Deserve.
It's like octagon control. Does it actually mean anything, or do we just say things?
Here's a question, guys. Here's a question. While we're waiting for Mr. Santiago Ponzinibbio, I bet you he's not. He's just taking his time. He's probably at 177 or something, just relaxing.
He was probably watching the game. He
was watching. Maybe.
That's a good call, actually. Yeah.
Sure, just enjoying some football and then waiting for Argentina. Argentina plays later today, so he'll be super. No, Argentina's today. Argentina and Netherlands. So he'll be super invested in that. Magomed Ankalaev, our own Jed Meshew has been super high on Magomed Ankalaev for quite some time. He has threatened. That's not the word I should use, but threatened that if Ankalaev wins on Saturday, he will very likely make him the number 1 light heavyweight.
I have a theory with that.
Go ahead.
Magomed Ankalaev's nickname was like Corey Rogers.
Yes.
No one would be that high on him.
Correct.
If he was Corey Rogers from Duluth, wherever Duluth is, Iowa, then no one would be as high on him.
This is like when Jason Capono. This is going to be a deep cut for basketball fans. Jason Capono.
You mean Jason Capono, the former record holder for the 3-point shootout?
A great shooter, brilliant shooter, former Toronto Raptor, among other teams. Jason Capono was a second-round pick after a star player in college, outstanding college player. But everyone knew he was going to go to the second round. And he said, if my name was Jason Kaponovich, I'd be like a lottery pick, because this was during a time when European players were just starting to get drafted more, and he's like, oh, if I was the same age and I was from Europe and I was Jason Kaponovich, I would have been drafted in the first round. I don't know, it's a little racist, but I mean, I kind of get what he's saying, and I kind of get what you're saying. We see this when we have this mystique of these Russians, the Magomeds. We got a Magomed Ankalaev, we got a Magomed Magomedov on competing on Friday.
If you got a beard and your mustache connects, sorry man, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
As soon as you shave that mustache to keep the beard, you just level up.
But listen, yes, there's a height to it. There's definitely Jed Meshew is all in on the any fighter ending in OV. He's all in the Magomeds. I think he has an all Magomed parlay, if I'm not mistaken, a triple Magomed, I guess, because Magomed, Ankalaev, Magomedov. I don't even know how many times I just said Magomed there. So he said he may put him number one, and I'm kind of thinking like, has he, just based on his record and his like how he's performed in his fights, like he's rarely in trouble. He's been pretty dominant. Like, is he already? Could you have already made an argument that he is the number one light heavyweight in the world, regardless of he hasn't fought the toe? Yeah.
Hell no. No.
Hell no.
No.
Firm hell no.
No. He's clearly a very good.
Oh, my ears.
Elite.
Here's the thing. Let's see how because let's see how it plays on Saturday. Because I remember when Sergey Pavlovich fought Derek Lewis, I said, I think Sergey Pavlovich could be a top 5 heavyweight. And everyone on MMAfighting.com said, that's crazy. And now look.
That's not as. Wait, who was. Whoa. Who were these people who said you were crazy? What? So I didn't say that.
Jose Young said, why isn't Sergey Pavlovich? I said, do we think Sergey Pavlovich is a top 10 heavyweight right now? And people on MMAfighting.com immediately went, no. And I was going,
listen,
I'm going to Casey lied and said it.
We're talking about after the BS crap stoppage and Derek
Lewis
fight.
Is that
what we're talking about?
No, this was before it. I said Sergey Pavlovich is a top 10 heavyweight.
All right. Well,
we have to base on who they fight. We have to base on the fight. There's a lot of guys I think are.
Sure. But like that, and then that goes with the argument, like Hamza Shemaev is a top 10 middleweight right now, for being realistic, but no one's going to throw him in the top 10 of the rankings right now.
Yeah.
That was what I was explaining. Like, I think Sergey at the time, I was like, I don't care what his ranking is. He's very clearly a top 10 heavyweight.
I still believe in Romanov. He's coming back. Just get him at elevate. Get him at C.
Let me just say, of the 8 official rankings panelists, 4 of us before the Tai Tuivasa fight had Pavlovich in the top 5. So settle down, Jose. We're with you on this one. We're Pavlovich fans. We're Pavlovichians. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the guy is incredible. I
think Sergey Pavlovich would have beat over him if that fight wasn't in China.
I just think he was. I don't know. I also think
Overeem
was still.
They're heavyweights.
Well, he said,
and Overeem is way better. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Well, because he said he got to China way too late, and he was still not. He's like, I was like asleep in that fight. He had not adjusted. He's like, I just showed up and I was like, I should be in bed right now. Before
let me
literally walk into the cage.
Let me get back to Ankalaev here. He is number 6 in the MMA fighting global rankings. He is behind Vadim Nemkov, Bellator champion, Jan Blachowicz, Corey Anderson, Glover Teixeira, and by the way, Nemkov will be above Anderson in the next ranking. Sorry, this is last month's ranking. Yeah. So Anderson, I'm just saying, Anderson and Nemkov are ahead of Ankalaev, plus Glover Teixeira, plus Jan Blachowicz, plus Yuri Prochazka. And on our own ballots, Ankalaev is as high as 4. I don't think he's any higher than that. I think he's as high as 4. I think, he's somewhere in the 4 to 7 range. So, 5 to 7 range. That's as high as he gets. So I don't know. It'd be a big jump for me. I will tell you now. Maybe if he runs through Jan, I'll bump him to number 1, but I doubt it. I'm gonna have a lot of respect for Yuri. I also am being optimistic that Yuri will hopefully be out for no longer than 8 months. So if Ankalaev wins this interim title and then maybe sneaks in a title defense, maybe he can jump ahead. But just this one win might not do it for me. Casey, I don't know how you're feeling about it. Let's say he dominates. First round finish, runs through.
If he dominates, and he's still behind Yuri and Nemkov.
Still behind Yuri. Interesting. Okay, so he would go to number 3. Okay,
number 3 is his high. No matter what he does, if he just like stares at Blachowicz just taps in fear. I still only put him at number 3.
Okay, Jose, what do you think? I don't know if you keep an official ballot, but what's your thinking?
No.
Where would you put Ankalaev if he's dominant win on Saturday night?
I'd still just put him right behind Yuri probably as number 1 light heavyweight.
Okay, so in the top 3. Yeah, number 2.
Because Yuri has just looked like a world beater. Like, obviously we knew who he was before then when he joined. He's literally not had 1 second of boring in the UFC. So yeah, I'd probably still put Yuri 1, Magomed 2, Glover, Vadim probably 3, 4, somewhere in that order.
Now, the interesting thing is on the flip side, if let's say Jan has an impressive performance on Saturday,
Yeah.
Are we gonna move him up much, or is he still gonna be behind Teixeira because he lost to him, behind Prochazka because will MMA math keep him from moving up?
I would probably just, if he's the champ, because he'd be undisputed champ, I'd probably put Jan. It's tough. I'd still probably put him 3 behind Yuri and Glover.
3 behind Yuri.
Yeah, Casey, I don't like putting champions that low.
Jan will be 4 if he wins.
He'll be 4. Okay.
Right?
He'll jump. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna again. This is our ranks are not.
For me, it'll be Nemkov, Yuri, Glover, and Jan if he wins.
Nemkov, Yuri, Glover, Jan. Okay, yeah, and that would make sense, right? He just wouldn't be above Glover. Glover beat him.
I'm sorry, Yuri, Nemkov. Okay, so I took Yuri out.
You're right.
I figured, whatever. Yeah.
No, you're right. Okay. He'll be number 4. Okay, so it's interesting. So it feels like Ankalaev has a little bit more to gain. Again, which kind of makes sense. Jan is the bigger name. Jan's got a bit more reputation. He's a former champion. It's an intriguing main event. I hope people aren't like looking down on this because again, they listen. They didn't ask to be in the main event. They didn't ask for an interim title to be on the line.
No,
yeah,
never blame these gentlemen.
They're certainly not against it. Yeah, I can't even really. If you want to blame the UFC, you can. But again,
can I?
You certainly can. I will say Glover. Listen, Glover should be in this fight, but they wanted Ankalaev in the main event, which is fine. Again, I think Ankalaev deserves a title fight. Teixeira wanted more time to fight Ankalaev, which I think is perfectly reasonable. Different kind of opponent. He's fought Jan before, so he didn't need the extra time. Ankalaev, completely different guy. Please give me that extra time if it's going to be that guy instead. Very fair, but I don't know. The UFC, they wanted a title fight main event. They went with the 2 guys who were willing to fight each other tonight. I don't like it. I don't super hate the UFC for this decision. I don't know, Casey. I know you don't sound too pleased with how it went down.
Hey, we get reimbursed for pay-per-views, but paying $80. How much are pay-per-views now? Like what?
I don't know. What is it in America, Jose?
It's like $75 or something.
That's something like that.
$75 to see.
That's like
to me
$400. That's like $485.
Yeah, hey, some pay-per-views. Yeah, this is awesome. This just ain't one of them.
$74.99.
This just ain't to me a $75 pay-per-view. That's all. It's good. It's good. A lot of good fights. It could be a great card, but it's just not on paper or a $75 pay-per-view. That's all.
When this card hit,
UFC throws a lot of cards together.
Listen,
this is the price to pay sometimes.
When this card still had its main event, there was people saying the UFC Orlando card was arguably better, at the very least comparable. And this is before we lost the main event. People were really looking forward to that UFC Orlando card. I thought it delivered. The UFC Orlando was a great event. But yes, and then sometimes now you run into this problem where you're trying to fill up so many cards.
You know what? Make this main event just a main event. Ooh, we lost Jose. But make this main event just a main event, just a 5-round number 1 contender fight. This is the UFC Orlando card.
Yes.
This is a really good fight night card. This would
be an amazing card. This would be amazing London. This would be a sick London card.
Yeah.
Like if this was the March London card, unbelievable. We'd be saying, UFC crushed it. Like UFC crushed it putting this card together, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying this card sucks. I'm just saying $80 though. That's $80. And when we saw last week for free, that's all. But and like I said, like I don't believe these 2 light heavyweights are the number 1 light heavyweights in the world. You can put a belt on them, cool. But hey man, just giving my honest opinion.
Yeah, it's a good main event. Again, but we all know it's a replacement main event. It's really the 3rd choice. They wanted John Jones Stipe. They ended up with a pretty good option in Yuri and Glover just running it back. Again, one of the greatest fights of my lifetime. Jose said the greatest fight he's ever seen live. And then they lost that. What are they supposed to do? Obviously, they cannot wait for Glover if he doesn't want to fight Ankalaev. Jan's willing to fight Ankalaev. They got to do what they got to do. So pretty ugly. But
let's answer Mr. John Ray.
John Ray, what's up, John Ray? John Ray's very active. I'm messaging me on Twitter all the time. Good to see you, John. Why is it you guys say deserves isn't a word? Okay, there's deserves already one. You already made one mistake, John. You should use in this sport. Okay, there's 2 mistakes right there. And then he gives the person who deserves twice a title shot. You complain.
Because Glover
ahead, Casey.
deserves to be in this main event. That's why.
Yeah, deserves again. It's just deserves. We don't like say it's like.
And Glover deserves to have proper time.
Yeah.
To fight to fight an opponent.
Yes.
And Blachowicz deserves also to be like Blachowicz and Ankalaev both deserve to get title shots if Yuri's out. Glover deserves it more.
It's really, John, it's really a defense mechanism. It's really more like, no, it is because we can use the word deserves all we want, but when it comes to the UFC and especially Dana White, the word deserves means nothing. It means nothing. It does not mean anything because the word deserves will always be, overcome by the word profits and by, buys and draw. Like these words are infinitely more important than deserves. So of course you can use deserves. Of course you can call MMA a sport. I rarely do. But I understand why, especially those who are in it, the fighters themselves would call it a sport, and a lot of fans would as well. I'm not. I call it a business. I call it a game. I call it the MMA. I try to avoid calling it a sport when I can. But it's a fair question.
It's only a sport once the bell rings. For those 15 minutes, 25 minutes, that's the only time it is a sport. Even then, it's kind of iffy. But outside of that, it's all business. It's all prize fighting. There's
I don't know, man. Your fight wasn't much of a sport. That was more like a beat down.
Ooh,
that wasn't much of a sport. Okay, you didn't give that guy a sporting chance. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to your opponent. He was a good. He was a good sport.
Good sport.
He was a good sport. Yes, he was a good sport. Seemed like a good dude. So we're all just excited, waiting for you to fight again in 2023. Hopefully that can work out somehow. And hopefully we can get Jose back in there someday. Jose, come on, Jose. We want to see everyone.
I'm retired. I'm the only retired fighter that
This is true. This is true.
I did not go out. I did not go out on top. I went out unconscious on my.
No one needs to know that. No, it's like Chelsea. You got to be like Chelsea. You just got to be like undefeated.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows the story. My opponent cheated. He loaded his gloves up with cement and punched me. And I take it back. You know what he did? He had shin implant surgery to put steel beams in his shin, the classic case. And then he kicked me in the head really hard. And then the next thing you know, I'm in my bedroom waking up, and then I look up and I'm like, oh wait, I'm at the gym. How did I get here? To this day, I have no recollection of my fight.
That seems like a good reason to not fight anymore. That's a scary. 20%. Scary.
Going back to UFC for a minute, Daniel Silva 20% fine.
20% for Daniel De Silva. Okay.
Which means
that fight technically is official.
Oh, what's wrong?
Okay, I was gonna say. Let's not be sarcastic about it now. Let me let the people know on social media. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Silva's fight with Vinicius Salvador. You guys are seeing some real behind the music stuff here. You're gonna see how I compose a tweet. Whoopsie. Gosh, wait.
I want to throw up while you tweet.
Please
this common criticism.
I'll just retweet Jose.
I've seen this common criticism. Glover didn't accept the fight. Wait a minute. He accepted the fight with the higher ranked guy. So how? Which is a higher ranked guy. UFC has his rankings. He accepted the tougher fight.
And what I always say is, was lost in this, when you Glover beat Jan in about as impressive a fashion as you can, right? Very rarely do you see fighters be like, yeah, I'll run it back with the guy I had the performance of a life against. He's like, Jan is probably more dangerous on short notice right now in terms of getting knocked out, and he already beat him. And Glover's like, I'll fight this guy again. Tough decision, man. Tough decision.
Yeah, and I guess if Mon wants to know, okay, well then why wouldn't he fight Ankalaev instead if he wants the title so badly? Or it's like, well, why should he not get extra time? He's the one doing the UFC a favor.
He accepted the fight against Ankalaev, but he wanted
more time
in January.
Yeah, not on the
literally
start,
just a few more weeks.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is why should he have to take it now? He's doing them a favor.
And that pay-per-view in January needs a main event because they ain't got one right now. They ain't got one right now.
Now again,
I hate to tell you, Casey. It definitely does have a main event.
All right.
Well, what we see is what we got.
In the UFC's defense, like I said, in the UFC's defense, then with Glover saying he needed extra time, they needed to have some sort of main event. Like if they accommodated him, we just would not have had a main event for this card. I mean, it would have been Paddy Pimblett and Jared Gordon, I guess, right? So this is just, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm literally playing devil's advocate here. I'm Dana White's advocate, and I'm saying that they kind of had, once Glover said, "Give me extra time." Let's say they said yes. Okay, then he fights Ankalaev in January. Then 282 has, what do you do with 282? What do you like? What is the main event, right? Just it's tough. It's a tough spot.
The main event will be the people's main event.
Well, listen, people, hold on. I want to transition to this because someone was asking, will this event sell? Yad Windergerwal asking, will this pay-per-view break 100K? Yes, it definitely will. The UFC brand is pretty strong. We don't get those numbers anyway, but the UFC brand is pretty strong. It's like, as long as you, and this is why I think they insist on having a title fight at the top of every card, even though I think that's a pretty kind of like every pay-per-view card, excuse me.
Unless it's Connor, or unless it's
Connor,
or
Masvidal. And again,
or Nate
that
Diaz.
was. And Masvidal.
They keep saying this, but then they'll throw. We throw it with non-title fights. Three non-title. We Connor fought this year, right?
We had three No, that was last year.
That was last year.
Two non-title fights, but Covington Masvidal was not the original. They lost two, I think, heavyweight. They lost two title fights. It was, I think, originally Volkanovski and Holloway, and also Aljo and Jan. So there were two title fights that were at least in talks for that card, and they just kind of felt they either were signed and fell through, or they just didn't never, properly materialize. So even on that instance, really the Diaz one is the only weird one where they were just like, yeah, we don't have a title fight. We are literally going forward with Diaz in the main.
Hamza against an unranked welterweight.
Right.
That was the card.
But that is one reason I think they feel that you're going to get a baseline viewership just from saying, oh, there's a UFC title fight at the top. So I don't know how true that is. I don't have access to all the metrics, their purchasing metrics, but that's probably part of it. At the very least, we can say, you don't know these guys, but there's a UFC title. Please, casual fan, sprinkle a few shekels in this direction. And the other thing to factor in now is
shekels.
Paddy Pimblett.
Racist.
How much of a draw? I'll tell you, it was listen. Let's talk about Paddy Pimblett.
That was the transition. That was the softball for you.
Well done, Jose. Well done. I'm not going to jump right into that, but how much of a draw is this guy? Because I don't know if he's at the point where we can say people are buying a pay-per-view just for Paddy Pimblett, but I could be wrong. He's very talked about. Judging by his site traffic, pretty popular. I don't know if he's obviously not quite up there on like the Connor level.
He is.
Yeah,
he's popular. Here's how I base. We all have like similar. We've all said the same thing. When people I know that don't follow MMA ask me about a fighter, like I was at my girlfriend's house for Thanksgiving, and her brother came up to me and was like, "Can you believe Molly McCann lost to Erin Blanchfield?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." Because like to him, Molly and Paddy were like world beaters because he sees them everywhere on social media. And I'm like, why do you know about Molly McCann? He's like, well, she's like a good fighter, and she's like barstool athlete, and she's like really funny on social media. I'm just like, Molly's been in the UFC for a long time, and Erin Blanchfield is going to be a contender. He's like, really? I had no idea. I just thought Molly was like really, really good. I'm like, she is good. Erin Blanchfield is just a monster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how I base it. And he's like, so Paddy, like how far away from a title shot? I'm like, far. Like, what are you talking about?
Now, but I mean, does that kind of buzz equate into a pay-per-view buy as Casey said, as potential $75 commitment?
So I want to circle back to this in a second.
Sure.
Because we have some movement right now.
Okay. We could have Mr. Ponzinibbio.
Yeah.
He's realizing
there's a difference between a box office attraction and a pay-per-view draw.
Yes.
And I think Paddy will be a box office attraction.
Okay.
Like, to me, the classic example is Kimbo Slice, RIP, rest in peace. He was a giant box office attraction, not a pay-per-view draw.
Exactly.
How many pay-per-views was he on, though?
Only one. I think when he fought Matt Mitrione.
Ponzinibbio's here.
Okay.
UFC 113. Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're done after this. We're not gonna get to it.
Here comes Ponzi. He realized that the Argentina game starts in 45 minutes. He should probably get on the scale. He's laughing. He's laughing. He's probably sad they don't get to,
178.
play Brazil. 177. Okay. Good for you. 179.5 for Santiago Ponzinibbio, and his catchweight bout with Alex Morono is official. Excuse me. Okay, guys, yeah, that is everyone. Casey, as you said, we might not get a chance to talk about some of this stuff more. I will just say big opportunity for, I will do a read through. I will say big opportunity for Paddy to prove that he's a draw. And by the way, that one pay-per-view with Kimbo, though he was not the co-main, or he was the fourth fight on the main, second fight on the main card, did 520,000 buys. Headlined by Shogun and Machida. Josh Koscheck was also on there, but I think Kimbo had something to do with that. That's a pretty good buy. 500, even back then during sort of the heyday, 520,000, pretty not bad. I think there's a Kimbo factor in there. R.I.P. Kimbo though. We could do. Can't we? We got to find some time to dedicate a whole show to that guy. It's just what a story. And to get rid of some of the UFC revisionist history, by the way. Okay. UFC 282 official weigh-ins, guys, at the top. Oh, sorry, hold on.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not Mike. I'm not used to this.
Jeez. All right, we got some. Who are those two ladies? Look at the screen.
UFC employees.
Oh, okay.
I think one of them it's like her full staff.
Oh, good for her. All right, you ready, AK?
I am ready.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh yeah. All right, at the top, we have former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz and number one contender Magomed Ankalaev. 9-fight win streak. The guy's been unbeatable. Both successfully made weight. Jan Blachowicz at 204.5, Magomed Ankalaev at 205 to make their vacant light heavyweight championship bout official. In the co-main, the controversial Paddy Pimblett weighed in at 156 for his fight with Jared Gordon, who came in at 155.5. Our formerly welterweight main card bout was going to be Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Robbie Lawler. Is now a catchweight bout, 180-pound catchweight bout between Ponzinibbio and replacement Alex Morono. They both came in 179.5. Darren Till making weight 184.5 for his fight with Dricus du Plessis, 185. Fingers crossed. This is a Darren Till fight that does not fall through. We are so close to it happening. Featherweight contenders, I would say future featherweight title challengers. Bryce Mitchell and Ilia Topuria opening up the main card, both weighing 146. Jay Perrin at 136. His opponent, the 18-year-old, signed as a 17-year-old, only recently turned 18, Raul Rosas Jr., 136 pounds as well. That's the featured prelim. Heavyweights, Jairzinho, Rozenstruik, and Chris Daukaus, both made weight, of course, heavyweights. Jairzinho 261.5, Chris Daukaus well below 242.5. He has mentioned a possible move to light heavyweight, but I don't know if he's made any commitment to that. Edmen Shahbazyan 185.5, his opponent Dalcha Lungiambula also 185.5. Chris Curtis, the action man, at 186, and his opponent Joaquin Buckley, he always brings the action man, 185.5. Billy Quarantillo, 146. He faces Alexander Hernandez, who drops down to featherweight for the first time. Successfully made it, 145.5. Erik Silva and TJ Brown also on weight for a featherweight contest. Silva at 146. TJ Brown, 145.5. Our lone miss, one Mr. Daniel Da Silva, coming in 3 pounds over the flyweight limit, even with the 1 pound allowance for a non-title bout, 129 pounds. His opponent made weight, Vinicius Salvador, 126. That will proceed as a catch weight, De Silva forfeiting 20% of his purse as a penalty. And then opening the main card, UFC debutantes Cameron Simon at 135 and Stephen Kozlow at 136. Stephen Kozlow, a.k.a. Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow. Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow. And that is your weigh-ins for UFC 282. All right, everyone. Yes, this is a pay-per-view, so there will be no face-off soon. There will be ceremonial weigh-ins, 7 p.m. ET. Before that, we will have a live preview show for you at 3 p.m. ET, so please tune in for that. That's just in about a little over 90 minutes. So we will see you soon. But otherwise, for Jose Young's on site, for EKC Leiden on the truck, and for myself, Alexander K. Lee. Thank you very much for joining us. You guys are the best people in the world, and we love doing these shows for you. So we will see you soon.
Oh,
I miss
happy
you,
birthday,
Xander.
AK.
No, it's not my birthday.
What? Oh, all right. Who signed for the edible arrangement then? That's weird.